How you guys doing? A lot of people talk about relapses. They talk about the struggles, the triggers that cause them to relapse, but I want to talk about something different today. I want to talk about relapse when you're doing good, when everything's working out, because not enough people talk about that. Um, Whenever I would make it somewhere in life, I would hit the bottom. I'd work my way all the way back up to the top, no matter what it took. And I would get there and I just wasn't satisfied. I felt maybe the reason was because, when I was younger, my mom used to spoil me, so I didn't appreciate things when I got them. I didn't know what the reason was until I started thinking about it a little bit longer. And I was like, you know what? I think when I'm on top and I'm getting that rush in life where I'm doing good and I'm getting compliments and I've gained a lot of stuff. I feel like, damn, you really put in a lot of work to get here. And it was really the devil talking to me in the form of myself, and convinced me to, use because of that. Like, you accomplished all this, you feel good, don't you want to feel better? And the biggest thing was, it was a voice telling me, this feels so good right now. You're on a high itself in life. So go get high off the drug and then imagine how that would feel. Imagine feeling as good as you do right now plus being on a drug. And it would always convince me to go right back out, you know. And the worst thing about that type of relapse is you have worked so hard to build so much up and then you just destroyed it. I've done this over and over. I've had house after house, and when I get it all, I destroy it all. One of these instances was I was really bad on my first crack addiction. I talk about that a lot. I was 3 years into it when I decided I was done. I went to Pennsylvania with my son's mother. I thought I was just going to get clean, and I ended up going down there with nothing. I was so sick. I called my grandmother and begged her to send me Suboxones in the mail, overnight them, all this stuff. It was horrible. But I got back on my feet. I started working. I started doing good. I was in my son's life. Everything was going swell. Me and her started fighting. I had my man cave in the basement. That's where I stayed at. And not too long after that, she kind of set me up in Maryland and took my son in. I didn't see my son for 2 years, but because I was working every day, she was a stay-at-home mom at the time in Pennsylvania. I was paying all the bills, and she started getting grant money and stuff like that. So she switched up on me. I had no idea it was coming, and when that happened, I lost my car because I had warrants pop out from stuff that was going on with me and her going to the commissioner and lying. And I don't want to get into all that, but I want to get into how my house was taken that day, how I lost my job that day, how I basically had to start all over after I just overcame a crack addiction. And I didn't believe at the time it was due to anything I was doing. I was really working and taking care of my family. So I stayed clean, I worked hard, and I had to go to domestic violence classes. I had to go to anger management classes. I was on house arrest. I had to pay them every day. I had to work on the back of a trash truck to pay to get my license back. My license was revoked. I had to turn them in for 6 months. I did all of this. And then I got an apartment at Gatewater in Glen Burnie. My first place by myself, right on the water, and I was happy. I was proud of myself. I had a car. I started running this other business. It was just, I kept stepping up the ladder, I started running this business. They weren't paying me enough. I moved up. I started doing fire protection. I was working 70 hours a week. I was saving my money up and I was doing good. And when I got to my peak and I was running around, moving too fast, hanging out with girls, drinking, stuff like that, I tripped up. And it was like felt like I was on top of the world and untouchable, and I celebrated with drugs. The thing that always, brings me right down to the bottom. So, when that happened, I moved back in with my son's mother after everything that she did, and that was a mistake. You know, she got me locked up not too long after that. So here I am again, using, and now I have no apartment, and basically I just moved in and threw everything on this person and depended on that person, and I fell flat on my face again. I went from the bottom to the top and back to the bottom. So don't let the devil trick you. You know, you guys are looking out for like stressors and stuff. Keep looking out for them too, but also look out for the accomplishment relapses. You know, they're very important. Pay attention to that. I hope this helps somebody. I hope you guys have a good day. And just so you guys know, I pray for you guys every day. Whether you believe that or not, you know, I care about human beings and I want to see everybody happy. I've spent too much of my life in pain to see other people in it. So, thank you.